It's time for Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, James Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Oahe Federal Credit Union, and Edward Jones Financial. Coach's Corner is also brought to you by Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. From the KCCR studios in Pierre, KCCR award-winning sports director, John Winkler.
And a good evening as we welcome you inside the KCCR studios, first one of 2025, Coach's Corner here on KCCR. Looking forward to having 8 shows, including tonight, through the months of January and February to close out our 2024-25 portion of Coach's Corner. We've got on the show for you tonight, we've got Landon Badger, the head coach of the Hawaii Capitals, as well as also having Kirk Bebout, the head coach of the Pierre girls basketball team. Also talk with Matt Thorson, the head coach of the Pierre wrestling team and girls wrestling team, and Joey Fisher, the head coach of the Stanley County boys team, who played last night and then will play tomorrow. We'll have a conversation with him about the win on Tuesday against Highmore Herald and the game coming up tomorrow night against McLaughlin. That's all on the way here for Coach's Corner. We'll be back with Coach's Corner and talking with Coach Landon Badger of the Hawaii Capitals after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
Building a home. It's the biggest investment most of us make in a lifetime. Not to mention, it's a decision that, well, you pretty much live with day and night. The quality of the workmanship stares back at you like a reflection. It also affects the value of your investment. Choosing the right contractor is critical. Kruger Contracting is that contractor. Call 222-2523. Quality workmanship and materials completed on time. Kruger Contracting. In a word, quality. Call 222-2523.
Most of us already know that Gales Gas of Pierre is the place to call for propane. They offer an automatic fill plan so you never have to worry about running out of propane. They accept debit and credit payments or a budget payment plan to spread out the cost throughout the year so you never have surprises when you get your bill. For delivery, convenience, and great customer service, call Gales Gas at 224-5518. That's Gales Gas at 224-5518.
Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota is serving the central South Dakota community and beyond with a great selection of used vehicles. Local trades and program vehicles are available. New Toyotas and new Fords are arriving and selling before they even hit the lot. So don't wait. Stop in and find out what's coming. If you've been thinking about ordering a new Ford, stop in and sit down with one of our sales specialists today. Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota at 518 East Sioux Avenue in Pierre. Call 605-224-7378 and visit CapitalCityFordToyota.com.
That's a clown question, bro.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
As we welcome back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com, joining me is Coach Landon Badger of the Hawaii Capital boys varsity team as they get set for a single-game weekend this coming weekend on Sunday in Aberdeen. But, Coach, let's first go back to last weekend, Saturday and Sunday, taking on the Sioux Falls teams, and 6-2 loss on Saturday, a 3-2 loss on Sunday. You know, I know moral victories, you'd rather have a full victory than a moral victory, but a lot of really good hockey for this young Hawaii Capitals team, especially on Sunday. Some of the best, I would say probably the best game that you guys played all year was on Sunday, even despite the 3-2 loss.
Yeah, I think that we all had that same kind of mindset as the weekend ended. We felt like there was a lot of things that went in the right direction considering where we were a month to 2 months ago. And you mentioned it too, that we're a young group and we're doing a pretty good job of actually just developing and finding ways to compete even with maybe a little bit less skilled group and maybe a little bit smaller as far as size group too, to go out there and still be able to compete against some of the biggest teams in the state. And yeah, 3-2 loss and a 6-2 loss. Obviously, you want to be able to have the result come in your favor and have a couple wins come out of that. But just some mental aspects to the game. We really like to see kind of the outcomes that we're starting to produce versus a 13-0 type of loss.
Well, and and even individually for all these guys, you can really start looking at a lot of individuals. I know I mentioned Landry Van Rokel in the Sunday or the Saturday broadcast or Sunday broadcast, but guys that have Asher Vandenbos gets a goal, Cooper Beestrom, not how you draw it up and not quite a good angle at a shot, but any puck towards the net can be a good one, and he got his first varsity goal. There's a lot of guys, you can see that the growth of, Aiden Beam has been exceptional for you guys on the blue line. Bridger Babcock is, taking that next step from last year to this year, why he's got a letter on his chest for the Capitals. There's a lot of guys individually, and I know there's a lot more names we can go through, but you can just see from game 1 to, game 9 and now going to be going into game 10, just how much these guys are stepping up individually and taking that next step individually.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we look for our oldest guys, which there's not a ton of them, to show some leadership, and feel like they did a good job of responding with that after starting the season 0-3, coming back against Sioux Center, who's a little bit down this year, but we looked at those games as a good chance for us to kind of get a confidence booster and allow some of our older guys to kind of step up and show the roles that we need to be having filled, and just showing kind of the competition level that we needed. And we felt like we started to see that, and all those younger guys started to grow from that and get a little bit more confident, a little bit more comfortable out on the ice. And then when you come and turn around and go and play the two Sioux Falls teams that are two of the top 3-4 teams in the state right now, for them to go out there and just kind of respond with just a good competition level and not just kind of playing from behind the entire time. Obviously, the 6-2 loss, we never did get tied up or ahead at any point, but just for our guys to continue to compete and not let that turn into a really lopsided game, it was actually a lot more competitive than even what the score showed.
Talking with Coach Landon Badger of the Hawaii Capitals, sitting at 4-5 now on the season. Had won those 4 in a row, dropped these last 2, but have a chance to get right back on the win track on Sunday when they take on the Aberdeen Cougars, who will play Brookings on Saturday. Do the Aberdeen Cougars, who lost 3-2 earlier this season. And Aberdeen is a team that they've kind of put themselves in a spot where they beat Sioux Falls West 3-2 earlier this year, I guess back in December. But a team that they lost 8-7 to Mitchell in overtime, and a team that's kind of up and down in a lot of different things. You guys have seen them in the preseason. That's a good team, but they've kind of been up and down when you look at the results, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. As we saw them early in the preseason, when we just kind of watched the matchup against us, we really felt like that's a pretty even matchup with us. Kind of being a little bit more of the middle pack group at the beginning of the year is kind of how our mindset was just trying to be kind of that same level with Aberdeen, and that's most of the reason that we played them multiple times during preseason, so that we would kind of be able to get that matchup and be able to kind of learn off of each other, and felt like that we were able to grow along with Aberdeen to grow there. And going into this weekend, we've had a couple tough games with them early in the season, and that was back when we were kind of just throwing out a group of guys to go play hockey and just kind of see what we have. And now that we're starting to build our structure and kind of build our hockey team the way that we are all wanting it to look, we feel pretty confident going into that game. And also, I mean, after this weekend, just kind of a little bit of a boost. Even like we said, you might not have the result of wins. We got the boost that we needed as far as knowing that we can compete with any hockey team in the state. And the goal of the year has been, you got to find a way to make it to state, and part of that is knocking off the Brandon Valley, Huron, and Sioux Center games and sweeping those, finding a way to do that, and then you still have to find a way to beat another team just to get into state. And so Aberdeen and Mitchell, Watertown, those are teams that we're competing with to just kind of find our way in there, and we talk about it all the time. Once you get to March, it only takes 3 good games, and you can come out on top.
Yeah, and absolutely, that's the fun of the state tournament is just getting in and being able to have that opportunity to go compete in the state tournament. And like you said, putting 3 good games, and you never know what might happen at the end of that weekend. you mentioned kind of what you saw, what you think about this Aberdeen team, and then they play Saturday, the night before you guys come to town. How much can that use to your advantage? Whether you watch that game, whether you take anything from that game, but just the fact that they're playing and you guys finally get a chance to have a one-game weekend, in the midway point of the season instead of just at the beginning of the season. How important, or how can that be a big key to that you're getting them on a second game in a back-to-back?
It can be a blessing, and sometimes it can be a curse. So when you haven't had another game under your belt during the weekend, it can be a little scary showing up on a Sunday and not knowing how your guys are ready to respond with a couple days off. We're looking to try to do some type of a practice on Saturday morning, actually, just to keep our kids' legs kind of moving and not just take a few days off before a big game this weekend. And, yeah, you talked about there's going to be a game for them on Saturday. We'll go and watch that game. See if we can't learn a few things from them, find some weak points from them, and try to take advantage of those come Sunday and see if we can't capitalize on getting a win and getting 2 points going into our long stretch weekend the following week.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably all, you mentioned too, the blessing and the curse of a one-game weekend, but knowing what is ahead on that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday next weekend, all being on the road, it is probably nice to not have such a hefty weekend this weekend, knowing what's upcoming next weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just looking at the schedule, we kind of talk about those groups that we need to kind of compete hard with and find a way to get multiple wins against. That stretch is coming up right here. We've got Aberdeen this weekend. You got Watertown next weekend, Brandon Valley next weekend. Cherry on top is finding a way to take down the Rangers on Saturday, and then you follow that back up, I believe, with Huron after that. And so we got a chance there to go 5-0, and we got a chance to hurt ourselves at the same time. So we just have to have the right mindset going into this weekend, find a way to kind of get the momentum back in our favor, and then have a good weekend next weekend.
And Capitals take on the Aberdeen Cougars at 3 o'clock on Sunday. We'll have coverage around 2:40 with the 3 o'clock puck drop on Capital City Rock and on YouTube at Capital City Rock Sports. Coach, before we wrap things up, final question here. Biggest key for the win on Sunday against Aberdeen, what's it going to take to get those 2 points on Sunday?
Capitalizing on any of the mistakes that Aberdeen might make. We're both young groups. We're both competitive groups, and we kind of open up the entire ice rink when we're out there, but anytime that they make a mistake, we just have to step up and go and attack. And if you do that, you're going to have a good opportunity to be on top of the leaderboard at the end of the day.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time as always. Good talking to you. We'll see you Sunday in Aberdeen against the Cougars.
Thank you.
Absolutely. That is head coach Landon Badger of the Hawaii Capital Boys varsity team. Back with more of the Coach's Corner after this on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
As community bankers, BankWest employees are deeply committed to supporting local causes, growing the local economy, and creating local opportunities. At a time when you can bank anywhere, we hope you choose BankWest. We'll be your financial partner for the long haul, helping you and your community achieve financial success. BankWest. Convenient, connected, committed. Member FDIC.
Look, it's no secret that owning a vehicle can cause a lot of stress, and they get a lot of wear and tear on them through every season. Graham Tire wants you to know that you can trust them with any problem that you have with your vehicle. They have fully trained ASE certified mechanics on staff, ready to handle it for you. From brakes and bearings to alignments and front ends. Let their experience work for you. Over 50 years combined means you can count on them. So if it's time for a transmission flush or even a simple oil change, the only name you need to know is Graham Tire, 421 West Sioux Avenue in Pierre.
Hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined, so y'all can sit here and ask me all the questions y'all want to. I'm going to answer with the same answer, so y'all can shoot if y'all please.
This is Coach's Corner on your home for the Pierre Governors, KCCR, and online at kccrradio.com.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Kirk Bebout of the Pierre Governor girls basketball team. They are 3-2 on the season going into this weekend when they will take on the 6-0 Washington Warriors in a big game on the road. And Coach, you've kind of been on the road a little bit since that first, you had the first weekend on the road, and then we're back at home, at the end of December. But we're on the road again on the 1st of January. Be back on the road again before coming home for several games. But 3-2 so far in the season. Before we start to talk about the Washington Warriors and this Saturday's matchup, let's first go back to Bismarck, and we'll talk about that game. A 70-41 win. What did you like most about the team, both offensively and defensively, to put up 70 points, but to have that margin of a 29-point win?
Oh, there's so much to like about that game. Honestly, I was very proud of the girls. I mean, I think some people might see that score and think, well, Bismarck must be down, or Bismarck must not be that good. It must have been an easy game for them. Neither of those things are true. Bismarck is a very good team, and it was not easy. So, extremely proud of the girls, the way they played on Saturday came out. Obviously, we had a week off over Christmas, and I thought that week when we came back, obviously you're always going to be knocking off some rust after not practicing for 8 days and things like that. But just felt like as a whole team, everyone that was in our practice did an amazing job of getting prepared and ready to win that game. So it was just fun to see them go out there and execute. We've been working hard on trying to execute some different things on offense and making sure that we're working together as a team. And they ran a great press break, and we were able to execute our offense and our set plays at a higher level than we were previously. So that was great to see. And then, defensively, obviously that's what we always hang our hats there. And Bismarck's known for constant press. They press on makes and misses, which you will not see anywhere else, really. And we actually, we had our fair share of turnovers, but we created more turnovers than we had. So anytime that you do that against Bismarck, you're putting yourself in a good situation. So it was really fun to beat Bismarck. We've had some battles with them the last few years, and we've had some really good teams here in Pierre, girls teams the last few years, and we haven't been able to beat Bismarck. So to go up there and play a good Bismarck team and come out with a close to a 30-point victory was really impressive. I could not be any happier than I could be about that game. And the hard thing is now we had that success, and you're right. Now we got a big one coming up, and it doesn't get any easier. And you got to take that success and use it to continue to get better. It's really easy to feel good about yourself and forget what got you there.
Yeah, and talking with Coach Kirk Peabody here and how important that Saturday's game is, and every game early on, middle, late, they're all important games. But you see the record of Sioux Falls, Washington being at 6-0 right now, heading into that weekend. But you mentioned the hard part is keeping that momentum and not being complacent with what went well on Saturday against Bismarck. But it's got to be fun to have that challenge right again. Again, every game's important, but it's different than seeing a team that hasn't won a game after beating a good Bismarck team. You get to continue to increase the level of difficulty, which is going to be a lot of fun as a coach to see these girls go compete again.
Well, if you look at our schedule, we don't really have. I mean, they're all challenges. Every single game is a challenge, and we're not going to put any more emphasis on any one than the other. Our first half of the year, we play number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and Bismarck and a ginormous Aberdeen Central team. So we play, out of our first 10 games, we're playing the top 5 teams in South Dakota and Bismarck. So our schedule is absolutely brutal. So, I mean, that's just part of what it is, and we relish the challenge to help us get better, and we know that, there's going to be some ups and downs along the way. The point is that we want to continue to get better all year round and be playing our best ball at the end. I mean, that's any coach will tell you that. So, we're going to go out. We're going to prepare just like we always do, and we're going to go give it our best shot. And whatever happens, win or lose, we will take that information and use it to help us get better moving forward.
Through the first 5 games of the season, after last year, you graduated several key pieces to the starters and role players that end up graduating from last year's team. And going in, every coach and every team is the same way. Is okay, how is this new team going to respond? Whether it's the same players, whether it's new players coming into different roles, everybody's got a little bit different role. But what have you liked most about what this team has been able to do? The likes of Emery Larson kind of she did step up and have a big game offensively on Saturday and defensively too. But what did you like about some of these new faces or faces with bigger roles? What have you liked about this team so far?
Well, what I liked recently is that what we did in practice, we carried over into the game. So that just shows that they're being coachable and they're wanting to get better. So, we really worked on how we can do a better job of running offense and reversing the ball and working on our skills so that that's possible. And I saw those things in the game. And, just the willingness to be receptive to coaching and continue to try to improve and stick together. We took a couple tough losses against good teams, which is going to happen, and you can definitely hang your head or point fingers or make excuses, but they didn't do that. They took accountability for things that they can do to get better, and we did that as a team. So that's what I'm most impressed with, is just the coachability and the desire and the willingness to continue to work.
Well, and the next game against Washington, then after that you got another 10 days off between games, which would be nice to get some more consistent practices after having the holidays and getting back in the swing of things. You can get a consistent, a lot of practices in a row. But with this Washington team going into Saturday, what do you expect from them? What have you seen from them on film heading into Saturday?
They're huge. I mean, they're 6 foot, 5'11" across the board. So, and we're 5'5" across the board. So, I mean, obviously that presents a ton of challenges right there. So, I mean, they got a lot of skilled players, and they're really big. They're a good team. They're number 2 in state for a reason. So, we know that we have to, do what we do well, better than what they do well. So that means we're going to have to be very diligent about boxing out and making sure we get as many rebounds and fighting for everyone that we can. And we got to make sure we get tremendous ball pressure and that we execute our things and be ready to shoot the basketball, because those windows and the timing is very, very small against a team that's that long and tall and athletic.
You mentioned just a little bit ago, too, about the challenge of every game is a different challenge. Every game is a challenge in itself, regardless of wins or losses, of how good a team might be or not. And this game, the unique challenge of this game, it's got to be fun to see something in that unique challenge. Obviously, you'd like to have it fun by playing well and win the basketball game, too. But just that unique challenge of every game being a little bit different in AA basketball, and how this one is different than what will be the next one in Douglas, what the next one was, before in Bismarck, from one team to the next, how different that can be.
Yeah, 100%. There's every game is a kind of a different puzzle that you got to try to figure out how you can be most successful, and Washington definitely presents quite the puzzle. So, they run a matchup zone that's kind of, it's I don't know, it's confusing. I don't even think they know what they're doing some of the time. So trying to figure out how to best attack that consistently. That's it's a challenge, but you're right. That's fun. Bismarck presented a lot of challenges, and we it's fun when you can kind of try to find a way and work together to solve that and be successful. That's where the fun comes from. So we look forward to the challenge. I mean, we understand what it is, and I just like that we have the perspective of we're going to take that same approach, and we're going to keep doing our best, and that's the fun part about it.
Real quick, final question here, Coach. Biggest key to a win on Saturday against Washington on the road?
I mean, the keys are, kind of always the same. We always got to rebound. That's always a big factor in the game. You got to take care of the ball. As big as Washington is, they will get out and run in transition. So if we're getting balls deflected and they're getting steals in live action, and they're able to get out and run, then that's a lot of trouble. So we got to definitely make sure that we're taking care of the ball, and we got to do everything we can to get rebounds, and then we got to rely on what we always rely on, which is our defensive intensity and pressure.
Coach, hey, I appreciate the time as always. Good talking to you. Good luck on Saturday, and we'll be talking again soon.
All right, appreciate you.
That is head coach Kirk Bebout of the Pierre Governor girls basketball team. 2:00 tip-off Saturday afternoon at Washington High School. We'll return with more Coach's Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. KCCR Radio.
People helping people.
Have you ever wondered what the benefits are of becoming a Owyhee Federal Credit Union member? At Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we reinvest profits in you. We do this in the form of lower interest rates, higher dividends, and low to no fees. So come check us out or come in at 221 East Pleasant Drive in Pierre, because at Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we treat our members like they own the place because, well, they do.
Owyhee Federal Credit Union.
At Shane's Pharmacy, your healthcare is important, and Shane wants to be the pharmacist to take care of you. Shane's Pharmacy will make sure your prescriptions are filled in a timely manner. They will answer your questions, and they will even deliver to your home or office. Call 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy, the pharmacy you know and trust. The number again is 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy in Fort Pierre, proud to support high school athletics.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
You like that? You like that?
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Matt Thorson, the head coach of the Pierre girls wrestling team, as they get set for a busy 3 days coming up Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as they host Aberdeen Central in the makeup duel, take on Harrisburg at home on Friday, and then we'll travel down to Presho for the Mid Dakota Monster, the Bride, however it's named, that they'll be down there in Presho on that Saturday. But Coach, this is, you go right back into the swing of things, and I don't even know if right back in the swing of things is the right phrasing for it, because you wrestled last Thursday. Before then, I mean, this is only your second meet in a span of about a month. How tough is that with the fact that Aberdeen was postponed at one point, but how tough can that be going into this weekend?
Yeah, like you said, it's been a while. A few of our girls got to wrestle against Huron, but now, and like you said, getting back in the swing of things, it's a big jump because we got Aberdeen Thursday, and they're pretty much a full roster. Harrisburg is a full roster, and then Presho is it's not a small tournament by any means. There's a lot of good competition there. We'll see some schools we haven't seen yet, so. Difficult, as far as us having 3 weigh-ins and 3 competitions back to back to back, I think the girls are, ready for that. They're ready to wrestle some people other than their teammates in practice for sure. And we've just kind of talked a lot about how, state the last couple of years and this year it's a 3-day tournament. So it's good for us to get kind of a sneak peek at what it's like on the body and on the mind wrestling 3 days in a row. Difficult, yes, but definitely something the girls are looking forward to and they're ready for.
And not that anybody would ever be burnt out during the middle of the season, but if you are having 5 or 6 different wrestling matches and duels over the span of 2 weeks, and then you get 3 days in a row, that probably is maybe almost a little bit tougher with the one being taxing and one being mentally draining. This one, I think maybe everybody is as fired up about it because it just feels like you haven't been able to wrestle very much so far this season.
Yeah, for it being, towards the middle of the season and for us to be as healthy and as excited and ready to go as we are, I definitely think it's a good sign. It definitely is a long season and it's pretty grueling, but right now, we're as fresh as we could possibly be and again, as healthy as we could possibly be. So it'll be fun to see what these girls have and kind of see a re-measuring stick in the sense of that, just because we haven't seen many people recently, so it's a good 3-day stint here where we can see where we are and see where we need to improve and see where we have improved since before Christmas.
And we'll go back, as we talk with Matt Thorson here, the Pierre girls wrestling team, we'll go back to last Thursday when you guys took on Huron, 39-6 win. Wasn't a full slate of matches for the varsity side. There were extra matches in there as well, so there turned into be a few more extra matches and girls that were able to get on the mat and still be able to wrestle. But overall, what did you like about what the Governors were able to do? And again, the first time in almost 3 weeks or two full weeks that you're able to wrestle and have competition. What did you like about what the Governors did? Yeah,
our kind of like I said before, our older girls who are more experienced, they got out there and they got the job done. And we did get to see quite a few JV and some middle school matches, which is a lot of fun just because, that's the future of what this program is about. So getting them the opportunity to get out there and wrestle some girls and, Huron competed well. But our girls, are pretty consistent about what you're going to get from them on the mat and they get after it and they're not going to waste any more time than they need to on the mat, that's for sure.
And then, the other side of how this weekend is going to go for the Pierre Governors and having a chance to have a dual Thursday, have a dual Friday, and see some good competition of Aberdeen and Harrisburg, but then have that tournament then on Saturday. So you really get to kind of focus, as a coach, you get to focus on each girl individually, Thursday and Friday, and then when things are chaos, as tournaments can be, and you can't watch, you have coaches that everybody can make sure that at least a coach watches a girl wrestle, but having that extra chaos of Saturday, you really get the chance of seeing it all from these girls.
Yeah, and like I said, these next two duels on Thursday and Friday, they're going to be, full slated, full duels, so it will be good for all of us to get, coaches and athletes kind of a little sneak peek at the dual side of things as well as the tournament side of things, just because, like you said, you're right, that those tournaments, they can be pretty chaotic, and who knows who's in whose corner and this and that, but the duels, you get sit back a little bit more and maybe talk a little bit more individually with each kid, and then on tournaments, it's okay, now it's time to get the job done, and you might not have me in your corner, but that's all right, because I'm not the one wrestling for you anyways. So it'll be good. It'll be good for all these girls.
I know we've kind of mentioned it a little bit too, and you said how that's going to be tough this weekend. What do you expect from Aberdeen and Harrisburg Thursday, Friday?
Yeah, I mean, these programs throughout South Dakota and really across all the different states that we've wrestled so far are growing so much, and Aberdeen's got a lot of girls. They've got almost a full JV roster. Same with Harrisburg. They've got a full roster plus some JV kids as well. So. It's just fun to see now how the playing field is even, and not that it ever hasn't been, but now that everybody's got a full roster, it's really whose team is the best, not just who's got the most numbers. And we're excited to go show that that's still us. Whether you've got 3 girls or 25 girls, whatever it is, we want to prove to everybody that we are still the best program in the state, and that's what you can expect is these girls to go out there and hopefully show what they've got.
Individually, we haven't had a chance to talk about this since it happened. Ireland Templeton got 100 wins, and I think there's going to be a lot of girls that eventually will get those 100 win totals, whether it be this year, maybe it'll be the next couple years. But for Ireland Templeton especially, to have that 100 wins, what that means for her, this program, and what the Pierre Governors continue to build in the girls wrestling program.
Yeah, I mean, Ireland has been here for a few years now. This is her, fourth year wrestling here, and she's. I mean, a lot of coaches could probably advocate for this too, but she's an extremely good leader, positive leader, and doesn't just walk the walk but talks the talk, or doesn't just talk the talk but walks the walk. Excuse me. But she's been a huge part of this program, and for her to get her 100th win, whenever that was, Rapid or whatever, it means a lot to her, but I think that you could ask her and she'd say the same thing. That's not what she set out to do, was get 100 wins. It's to be the best she can for herself and for the team, and continue to climb that number and raise the bar for not just herself but all these young bucks coming up, and she's doing just that, and not just at competitions, but during practice and things like that, you can see her working her butt off, and it's good to see, some of your best wrestlers as your hardest workers, because that's what, it takes to have a good program, and these younger girls see that, and they understand that that's kind of the standard that is set here in Pierce. So she's been the epitome of a leader and exactly what we want on our program.
Talking with Coach Matt Thorson of the Pierre girls wrestling team. Coach, we'll wrap things up here. The final question, as always, biggest key for Pierre to be successful, get some dual wins Thursday, Friday, and whether it be the tournament win, but just have a successful weekend. Biggest key for those 3 days.
It's to be physical. It's to be tough, and not just physically, but mentally tough as well. Because unfortunately, not everybody's going to win the tournament. Not everybody's going to win every single match. So. How are we mentally tough? How are we physically tough after a loss or a setback or if something doesn't go our way? And are we able to step out on the mat every time and be the more physical wrestler and kind of bring it to them? You set the pace and wrestle how we want to wrestle, learn from mistakes, and just continue to go out there and just wrestle our own matches. And that's important. I mean, not just with this weekend, but with wrestling just in general, is to wrestle your match, not up or down to the opponent, but just do your thing And these girls have done that for years now, and there's nothing that we should expect less from them.
Well, Coach, hey, I appreciate the time as always. Good talking to you again. It's good to be back in the swing of things in 2025.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good luck Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we'll be talking again soon.
Yeah, congratulations on your 1,000th call. When was that, last week?
Yeah, Saturday. Yep,
Yeah.
I appreciate
Awesome.
it. Yeah, thank you so much.
Congratulations. Yeah, we thank you for all you've done for us.
Absolutely. That is head coach Matt Thorson of the Pierre Governors. We'll return with more Coaches Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. kccrradio.com.
No one likes to have electrical problems, but when they happen, call Todd's Electric at 223-2518. With over 30 years of experience, Todd's Electric can handle any type of electrical problem, whether it's residential, commercial, or agriculture. Their knowledgeable staff knows and understands the importance of your home, business, or ag facility and are prepared to help. That number again is 223-2518. Todd's Electric Service, serving the Pierre-Fort Pierre area. Todd's Electric Service, the line to power. It takes hard work to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than just sports. It also goes for your financial goals. You work hard for your money. You deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. Your local Edward Jones financial advisor can help. If your investments aren't getting you closer to the win, visit edwardjones.com or stop by your local Pierre area Edward Jones office for a financial review. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now I'm playing for real.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good. What play should I call now? Maybe corner three.
He's hot. He is hot. Keep feeding that guy.
Now back to Coach's Corner with KCCR award-winning sports director John Winkler.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Joey Fisher of the Stanley County Buffaloes, who picked up a win last night at home against Highmore Herald and will play tomorrow against McLaughlin. And Coach, let's go back to last night's game, a 20-point win against Highmore Herald, and you really extended that lead out in the second half after about a 10-point lead at the end of the first half. What was the biggest takeaway? What did you like the most about that win last night?
You know, there was a couple different things that really stood out. One of them was, you know, we finally shot the ball really well, but a lot of that contributed to we just got a lot better looks than maybe what we'd been taking the last couple games. We hadn't been shooting the ball very well, and part of it was we were just getting a little bit stagnant on offense, and we were kind of forcing some shots up late. So we made some tweaks after the Harriet-Selby game and just included a couple different concepts that we thought would be a little bit easier and get us a little bit more high percentage looks. And, you know, we ended up shooting 28 of 56 last night, so it's like we got a lot better high-quality looks, and then we were able to finish those looks. And then, you know, defensively, that's one thing that we've really prided ourselves on this year. We made some second-half adjustments on a couple kids because they were hurting us a little bit, but, you know, we're staying right around kind of that 40-point mark for giving up points, and, you know, those are what those state tournament teams do, and those are what those really good teams do at the end of the year is they kind of hold teams to that 40-point margin, and that's one thing we've really prided ourselves on this year.
Yeah, and a really good offensive performance, you know, especially from the three guys of Eddie Duffy, Paxton Deal, and Kane Montana all having double figures yesterday. And you mentioned, too, how well you shot the ball. It wasn't that those guys got those, you know, 20 points, 10 points by, you know, shooting 15% from the field and just getting a whole bunch of shots. Everybody shot well, putting up those high-quality shots, which, you know, as a coach, got to make you feel pretty good.
Yep, you know, and it's like we talked about. We hadn't had a game yet where, you know, those three guys you talked about they were just all hitting on the same night. You know, we'd had one where it was maybe Caden a little bit more than the other two, or Paxton, or even Eddie. We hadn't had all three of them really click on the same night, and it's like we got a lot of high-quality looks early for each of those guys. Like Paxton had a really good first quarter, and then Caden had a really good second, and Eddie had a really good second. So we really got them off to a fast start, and that kind of just opened it up for the rest of the guys as well and got us some really open looks.
And then you go on the road here tomorrow to McLaughlin for a girls and boys doubleheader. I think, you know, maybe the last couple years had been a region game, if I remember correctly, but not so much. You know, now they've dropped down to Class B, so not a region game, but still an important one to pick up. You know, McLaughlin at 2-4 so far in the season. What have you seen the most? What have you seen from them on film that stands out the most?
You know, they're a little bit bigger. They'll start 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", so it's like they might be a little bit bigger than us a little bit. They play physical. The one thing that they've done the last few years is they play fast and they play really hard no matter who their coach is. So that's one thing. We've seen that they like to slow it down a little bit this year and try to kind of grind you out on some possessions, but we feel like that's one thing that may benefit us. If we can get teams into the half court really confident in our defense, that we can win that half court battle against a lot of teams.
I don't want to go too far away, and because it will be next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But the Jones County Tournament, everybody is excited always about the Jones County Tournament, the 57th annual this year. But such a fun tournament and some really good competition that's coming up next week. And I know the focus has got to be on McLaughlin for tomorrow, but I think, are the guys getting excited about the Jones County Tournament coming up next week?
Oh, yeah. The Jones County it's not a lot of, some people know about it, but I mean, it's a special tournament that, right here in the heart of South Dakota, it's that small town tournament. They pack the gym no matter who's playing, and it's something, it's that small town state tournament kind of feel. I mean, it's awesome. There's really no way to explain it. I've had the chance to play in it and coach in it, and it's like, it's always one that the boys have circled on the calendar just because it's an environment that, not a lot of teams get to experience, and it's like we're lucky that we get to do it every single year. But, it's an awesome tournament. It's a great atmosphere, and, it provides it gives you kind of that state tournament feel with having to play 3 games in 3 days, and it gives you that insight of, this is what it's going to feel like if we want to get to where we want to be.
And, there are probably tournaments where, teams might be down, or the majority of the teams could be down, or half the teams, who's going to make the semifinals, or who's going to be in the championship of that tournament. But looking at the field, as there's maybe some teams that move in and out, but overall, a lot of these teams being the same, boy, there's some really good competition, and it's going to be a really fun tournament from top to bottom that Stanley County gets to play against, whether it be the first round, second round, third game, whatever it is. There's some really good teams that you can be maybe seeing at the beginning of March or middle of March when the state tournament rolls around.
Yep, and that's that's kind of what we talked about. Is it's like even with the Invitational a few years past, there's been those 4 teams that you kind of knew were going to be there day 2, and it's like this year it's like, I mean, you could have an upset any game. It's just there's a lot of teams that are pretty equal, and then matchups wise, there's a lot of teams that provide some tough matchups. So it's like we feel like Bennett County, like we can't overlook them either. Like they're a good basketball team. They have a new coach this year, and he's doing some different stuff with them that has really helped them this year. So it's like you got to take it one game at a time, and we're breaking it. The way we do it is we break the season into fourths, and it's like we just got done with our first fourth, and we're 4-1. So it's like, what are we going to do these next 5 games?
And that was going to be the kind of the next question too. I know you kind of mentioned it about where you like the defense of trying to give up just about 40 points per game and staying above 50 points per game. And those wins, you're averaging over 50 points a game in those wins, or close to 60 points in those wins. But what's kind of the biggest thing through the first 5 games, and that's all the way back from December 12th through January 7th right now, almost a month span where you get 5 games, but Christmas and New Year's kind of throw a wrench into it. But maybe the biggest takeaway from the first 5 games of what you really like and what still needs to be better from the Stanley County Buffaloes going into this next quadrant of the season.
I think just from game 1 to now I think our pace has improved. We've wanted to play fast, but we weren't playing as fast as we necessarily wanted to. Even against Miller and Winter and those teams, we caught ourselves kind of, trying to slow it down, and that's not necessarily one of our strengths. If we can get out and push and try to get a quick one and then run our offense, that's where we're at our best. So it's like we felt maybe at the start of the year we were trying to slow it down too much, and then that would lead to, some poor shot selection, which was one thing I think, it was a lot better last night, but it's been kind of a struggle for us is just some forced shots. But I really think we're starting to kind of, get better and recognize those opportunities as well. Defensively, there's always tweaks you can make. I think our on-ball defense has gotten better, a lot better throughout the year. We've done a better job of keeping dudes in front of us. Rebounding was one area we were kind of worried about too at the start of the year. After losing Brock last year, it was who's going to make up for that. But that's actually one thing I think we've done a really nice job of so far, is we've kind of used our physicality and our strength and been able to clear those boards. But, you can always work on defense. I think one thing we got to work on is, just maybe our help side defense a little bit, making sure we're watching ball and man, because that's one area we've kind of, struggled with these last couple games.
Talking with Joey Fisher, the head coach of the Stanley County boys basketball team. They're 4-1 of the season, won 3 in a row, and will take on McLaughlin tomorrow in a boys and girls doubleheader, which is a 3 o'clock Mountain Time start of JV game. So still be around that 6:30 for the girls and 7:30ish, or just following after that for the boys game against the McLaughlin Mustangs, and then they'll have the week off or 7 days off before the Jones County tournament that starts next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So, Coach, before we wrap things up, McLaughlin, your next opponent, and again, as I always like to end, biggest key for the Stanley County Buffaloes to get a win against McLaughlin on Thursday.
I think our biggest thing is we just got to get off to a quick start and really set the tone right from the opening tip. That's one thing that's plagued us this year is kind of some slow starts, and it's allowed some teams to play with us that maybe shouldn't have, or have a little bit closer games. So we just got to get off to a quick start, and we got to go finish. We've struggled to finish possessions at times, so I think if we can get off to a quick start and we can go finish at the rim, it's really going to set the tone early for us.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time as always. It's fun watching this Stanley County team through the first 5 games. It feels like you've should have more games in right now than just the 5, but it is nice that there's a lot of basketball still in front of us for Stanley County. It's been fun to watch the first 5 games for the Buffaloes, and looking forward to the next set of games, and especially that Jones County tournament coming up next weekend as well. But safe travels, good luck tomorrow, and we'll be talking to you again soon.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. That is Joey Fisher, head coach of the Stanley County boys basketball team. Back with more Coaches Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. kccrradio.com.
Hey you. Are you at a job that is fulfilling, has good benefits to support you or a family today, and retirement goes down the road? If you just said no, listen up. CHS River Plains is hiring operations personnel, drivers, and custom applicators at several locations. These come with a knockout affordable benefit package for you and the whole family. Apply to a job with CHS River Plains and up your benefits straight up. To apply, visit us online at chsriverplains.com or stop in at one of our locations. CHS is an equal opportunity employer.
Score big on your next vehicle purchase with Lamb Motor Company in Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre. Check out their large selection of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs at any one of their locations, or go online to lambmotor.com. That's LAMBMOTOR.com. Or give them a call today at 800-952-2222. Lamb Motor Company of Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre.
This fall, take some time to think about your future while the leaves make their way down to earth and the last sunset of summer leaves us with an autumn chill. It's time to grab the nearest foam finger and break out the face paint. Rush the stands with First Dakota National Bank and forget how to blink. Fall sports are back with jaw-dropping plays, an electric atmosphere, and epic scores. Make some noise with First Dakota National Bank. Open a new account online today at firstdakotanationalbank.com. Member FDIC.
Let me talk to you.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
Yeah.
As we welcome you back inside the KCCR studios to wrap up our first night of 2025 in Coach's Corner, we've got a busy weekend coming ahead. But first, I want to say thanks to our coaches and Landon Badger of the Hawaii Capitals, Kirk Bebout of the Pierre Governor girls basketball team, as well as also Matt Thorson, the Pierre girls wrestling team, and Joey Fisher of the Stanley County boys basketball team. Coming up this weekend, starting tomorrow, we've got Thursday night football semifinals of the college football playoff. Penn State, Notre Dame. We've got coverage at 6 o'clock, kickoff at 6:30. Same for Friday night with coverage at 6, kickoff at 6:30. Ohio State and Texas in the second semifinal. Those two winners will meet on January 20th, which we'll have that game for you on a KCCR as well on that Monday. Then on Saturday, we've got the Pierre boys basketball game against Washington. Dylan Simmons will be on the call for that game. We'll have coverage starting around 1:30, 1:40, and a 2 o'clock tip-off. After we're done with that, we'll have coverage of the NFL, as we'll have both NFL games for you after Pierre basketball concludes, which starts with the Chargers and the Texans. It'll be the Steelers at the Ravens Saturday night. Then on Sunday, we've got the Broncos and the Bills at a noon kickoff. Green Bay Packers, Philadelphia Eagles will follow that, and Tampa Bay will host Washington in the Sunday night game of the playoffs coming up here this weekend. Also, we'll have the two Hawaii Capitals games on Capital City Rock with a 3:40 coverage on Saturday and a 4 o'clock puck drop between the Caps girls and Mitchell Marlins. Then Sunday, the boys game, Aberdeen Cougars at 3 o'clock against the Capitals in Aberdeen. Have coverage at 2:40 on Capital City Rock. So looking forward to that. And, of course, we've got Soy Beats basketball both Thursday and Friday over on Country 95.3 as the Chargers, they will be in Highmore taking on the Pirates. And then on Friday, Highmore Herald will come to Soy Beats for the girls game in Oneida. DT will have the call of both those games on Country 95.3 and on YouTube at Country 95.3 Sports. Again, thanks to the coaches. Thanks for another week listening here on KCCR. And, of course, you can watch and listen to these shows back on YouTube at any time at KCCR Sports. Same time, same place, next week, Wednesday, 5:30 to 6:30, right here on KCCR. You've been listening to Coach's Corner. Have a good rest of your night.
You've been listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, Shane's Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Owyhee Federal Credit Union, Edward Jones Financial, Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. To hear the show again, head to YouTube at KCCR Sports for shows at any time. This has been a special presentation of Riverfront Broadcasting Sports, Central South Dakota's sports leader.